September 19th, 1944. 5:12 hours. Near Arracourt, eastern France. The fog is so thick it beads on steel like sweat. It clings to helmets, to gun barrels, to the low silhouettes of Sherman tanks idling in a harvested field. Engines rumble softly, low, nervous growls, muffled by the mist. Somewhere out there, beyond the white wall, something big is moving. You can't see it. You can feel it. A tanker grips the rim of his cupola, knuckles pale, breath held. The air smells of damp earth and hot oil. Radios crackle, half-sentences, clipped voices. Then a sound cuts through it all. Not artillery, not infantry. Tracks, heavy ones. A few hundred yards away, German Panzer engines churn, blind in the same fog, steel beasts groping forward by instinct and orders written days ago in Berlin. This isn't a meeting engagement planned by generals over maps. This is collision, accidental, sudden, fatal. The Battle of Arracourt has begun. By dawn, the U.S. Third Army has pushed farther east than anyone thought possible. George S. Patton's advance has been fast, too fast, some say. Fuel convoys are stretched thin. Maps are outdated. The Germans are supposed to be finished here. They are not. What the Americans don't fully realize yet is that they've driven straight into a counterattack built around Germany's newest armored divisions, the 111th and 113th Panzer Brigades. Fresh crews, brand new Panthers, orders to smash Patton's exposed flank and prove the Panzerwolf still has teeth. On paper, it's a mismatch. Panther tanks carry long-barreled 75mm guns that can punch through a Sherman from well beyond return fire range. Their frontal armor shrugs off American shells. Their optics are superior. Their reputation alone inspires fear. And yet, this morning, none of that matters, because no one can see more than 50 yards. Captain Paul West is inside his M4 Sherman, part of the 37th Tank Battalion, 4th Armored Division, Patton's prize breakthrough unit. His crew listens as reports filter in, enemy armor sighted near Uneville, German movement to the north. Panthers confirmed. Patton's orders are simple, as always, attack. No hesitation. No waiting for perfect conditions. Third Army doctrine favors momentum over caution. And here, in the fog-choked fields around Arracourt, that aggressiveness will decide everything. West pushes his tank forward. The Sherman lurches, tracks biting into wet soil. Visibility drops to nothing. The world narrows to engine vibration, radio static, and the dull thud of your own heartbeat. This is armored warfare stripped of theory, reduced to instinct. Then it happens. A shadow materializes through the mist. Too low for a farmhouse. Too wide for a truck. A Panther. Someone screams, "Panzer! Front!" The Sherman's gunner doesn't wait for orders. The turret slews. The 75mm fires. The blast is deafening. The recoil brutal. The shell slams into the Panther's side armor at close range, far closer than doctrine ever intended. The German tank erupts in flame. For a second, there is stunned silence. Then the fog comes alive. Across the battlefield, similar moments unfold in chaos. German Panthers, advancing confidently in tight formations, suddenly find themselves face-to-face with Shermans appearing out of nowhere, on their flanks, their rears, at knife-fight range. The fog erases range advantages. It erases careful gunnery tables. It turns the battlefield into a series of violent ambushes. American tank commanders exploit it instantly. They don't duel. They stalk. Shermans move in pays, leapfrogging through hedgerows and shallow folds in the land. One tank fires to draw attention. The other slips around the side. A shot into thinner armor. A burst of flame. Another Panther gone. German crews, many of them newly trained replacements, struggle to react. Radios fail. Visibility collapses. Commanders pop hatches for a better look and die instantly to machine gun fire or shrapnel. By mid-morning, wrecks litter the fields. Black smoke rises above the fog like grave markers. And still, the Germans keep coming. Behind the lines, General Patton is already moving. He senses opportunity the way other men smell blood. Reports of German armor don't alarm him. They energize him. He orders artillery forward. Tank destroyer battalions are repositioned. Recon units probe aggressively, feeding real-time intelligence back to the armored columns. This isn't luck. It's orchestration. American artillery, guided by forward observers, begins dropping shells into suspected assembly areas. Explosions bloom invisibly in the fog, tearing apart German formations before they ever see the enemy. Infantry with bazookas hug tree lines and villages, waiting for steel shapes to emerge from the white. When they do, they die. By nightfall, the Germans pull back to regroup. Dozens of Panthers burn silently in the fields around Arracourt. The Americans take stock, amazed, exhausted, and wary. They've won the day. But the real battle hasn't even started. Because tomorrow, the fog will lift. And when it does, the Germans will come back in force, this time with clear skies, massed armor, and the full weight of their counterattack. The question hanging over every American tanker is simple. Was today a miracle, or just a calm before annihilation? September 20th, 1944. 7:03 hours. Arracourt sector. The sun burns through the mist like a blade. Fields emerge, muddy, scarred, littered with blackened hulks of steel from the day before. Burnt Panthers sit frozen mid-advance, turrets twisted, hatches blown open. The fog that saved the Americans yesterday is gone. And with it, their invisibility. Now the battlefield is naked. From the German side, this is the moment they've been waiting for. Clear weather, long sight lines, open ground, perfect conditions for Panther tanks to do what they were designed to do, kill from range. German commanders regroup overnight and come back harder. This time, it's not a probing attack. It's a deliberate armored thrust. More than 100 Panthers roll forward in coordinated waves, their engines echoing across the countryside. Crews are confident now. They can see. They believe the Americans will finally pay for yesterday's embarrassment. Inside his Sherman, Captain West feels it immediately. The openness, the exposure. There's no fog to hide in, no white curtain to blur distance. Just rolling farmland and shallow ridgelines, terrain that favors German guns. At 2,000 yards, the first Panther fires. The shell streaks across the field and punches clean through a Sherman's glassy plate. The tank erupts. No fight. No warning. This is what everyone feared. Shermans begin to die, one after another. American tankers watch helplessly as long-range German fire cuts through formations. Shells whistle overhead. Impacts slam into earth and steel with terrifying precision. Crews bail out under fire. Some don't make it. For a moment, just a moment, it looks like the math is finally asserting itself. Better armor, better guns, better reach. The Germans should win this. But they've misunderstood something fundamental. They are fighting Patton's army. Patton doesn't respond by pulling back. He leans in. Orders ripple through the Third Army like electricity. Artillery units, already forward thanks to Patton's relentless pace, open fire with surgical brutality. Not scattered barrages. Coordinated annihilation. Time-on-target missions slammed down with dozens of shells landing simultaneously. German Panther formations vanish in curtains of doubt, flame, and flying steel. Crews scramble to reposition, only to run straight into American tank destroyers waiting hull down behind ridges. M-18 Hellcats dart forward at insane speeds, firing and relocating before German gunners can adjust. M10s anchor kill zones, their 3-inch guns cracking like whips across the fields. This isn't Sherman versus Panther anymore. This is a system versus a machine. American tank crews adapt instantly. They stop trying to fight fair. Shermans pull back behind reverse slopes, using terrain like chess players, not brawlers. Spotters relay Panther positions. Artillery adjusts. Smoke rounds blind German optics. Infantry with radios crawl forward under fire, calling in fire missions so precise they feel personal. A Panther crests a ridge and disappears under a geyser of high explosives. Another advances too far and takes a side shot from a concealed Sherman at 400 yards. Fire. Brew up. Silence. The battlefield becomes a trap. Every German push meets layers of resistance. Artillery, tank destroyers, flanking Shermans, infantry teams with bazookas waiting in villages and hedgerows. The Panthers are powerful, but they are alone. By midday, German commanders realize the truth. They don't know where the Americans are. Patton's units move constantly, never static, never predictable. Radios buzz with fragmented reports. Enemy tanks destroyed. American armor reappearing on the flank. Artillery unbearable. The German plan requires cohesion. Patton's response destroys it. Fuel shortages begin to bite. Panthers idle too long. Engines overheat. Recovery vehicles can't reach damaged tanks under constant fire. Disabled Panthers are abandoned and then destroyed by their own crews. Morale fractures. What was meant to be a triumphant counterstroke turns into a grinding slaughter. Captain West watches another Panther burn through his periscope. He doesn't cheer. He doesn't relax. Because he knows, everyone knows, this isn't over yet. German armor is still coming. Still pushing. Still bleeding, but not broken. And somewhere behind them, German headquarters is furious. They will not accept this outcome. They will throw everything they have left into Arracourt. And Patton, standing over his maps, understands exactly what that means. If the Germans commit fully here, they will have nothing left anywhere else. So he prepares to finish it. As evening falls on September 20th, the fields around Arracourt glow with fires that refuse to die. Smoke columns twist into the darkening sky. The ground is littered with shattered steel, German Panthers far outnumbering American losses. The impossible has started to become undeniable. The Shermans, dismissed, mocked, underestimated, are winning, not because they are stronger, but because they are smarter, faster, relentless. And tomorrow, Patton intends to turn a German counterattack into a catastrophe that will echo all the way back to Berlin. The final blow is coming, and this time, the Germans will see it. September 21st, 1944, 6:41 hours. Outside Arracourt, dawn breaks hard and clear. No fog, no mercy. The fields stretch out under pale morning light, every ridge, every hedgerow, every shallow depression now visible. Smoke still hangs low from the previous day's fighting, but this time it doesn't hide anything. It only marks where men and machines died. German armor moves again. This is a last, committed push. Panthers advance in disciplined lines, turrets forward, guns steady. Their commanders believe they've identified American patterns now. They think they know where the Shermans will appear, where the tank destroyers will anchor, where the artillery observers hide. They are wrong, because overnight, Patton has rewritten the battlefield. American engineers work through the dark, guided by red lens flashlights and whispered orders. Tank destroyers shifted positions. Artillery batteries crept forward yard by yard. Infantry dug in along village edges and tree lines. Bazookas angled like spades. And most importantly, Patton authorized something radical. He let the Germans come all the way in. No early engagement. No long-range exchanges. The Americans wait. The Panthers roll forward, confident, closing distance. 1,500 yards. 1,800. German gunners search for targets. They see nothing. Then the earth erupts. Artillery slams down in pre-registered boxes, shells landing with horrifying simultaneity. Panthers vanish in dust clouds. Tracks shear off. Turrets jam. Crews stagger out, only to be cut down by machine gun fire. Shermans surge from concealment like predators finally unleashed. They don't charge head-on. They slip sideways. Flanking shots crash into thinner armor. Multiple Sherman focus fire on single Panthers, overwhelming even their thick steel. Tank destroyers punch holes through holes at point-blank range. Bazooka teams fire from ditches and stone walls. Rockets streak across open ground, slamming into engine compartments already weakened by artillery. This isn't a battle. It's a systematic execution. German formations disintegrate in minutes. Commanders try to restore order, but radios crackle uselessly under jamming and chaos. Smoke blinds optics. Dead tanks block advance routes. Panthers attempt to maneuver and expose their sides. Every move is punished. Captain West Sherman fires again and again, recoil rocking the hull. His loader works on pure muscle memory now. Shell in, breech close, fire. The gun barrel glows faintly. He sees a Panther halt suddenly. The hatch opens. A German commander climbs out, scanning desperately. A machine gun snaps. The hatch slams shut. The Panther burns. By late morning, the battlefield tells a story without words. German tanks are everywhere, wrecked, Abandoned, smoldering. American losses exist, but they are scattered, isolated. The imbalance is staggering. For every Sherman knocked out, multiple Panthers lie dead. The myth is breaking in real time. This is supposed to be impossible, and yet it's happening. At higher headquarters, German officers finally accept reality. Their counterattack has failed. Not partially, not tactically, catastrophically. More than 200 German armored vehicles, Panthers, Panzer IVs, assault guns, are destroyed or disabled across the Arracourt sector. Entire brigades cease to exist as effective fighting forces. The last reserve armor meant to stabilize the Western Front, gone. Patton doesn't pursue recklessly. He doesn't need to. The road east is open. That afternoon, American units advance cautiously through the wreckage. Crews dismount, staring at the twisted steel around them. Some touch Panther armor in disbelief. Others just sit on their tanks, too tired to speak. They know what they've done, even if history hasn't caught up yet. They didn't win because their tanks were better. They won because they fought as a single organism. Speed, communication, artillery, adaptation, and above all, refusal to stop moving. As the sun sets on September 21st, the guns finally fall silent. The Battle of Arracourt is over, but its meaning is only beginning to sink in. The German army has thrown one of its last armored punches and missed. Badly. The Panthers lie dead in the fields. The Shermans roll on. And somewhere ahead, beyond the horizon, Germany is running out of time. But there is one more truth, one final revelation, that makes Arracourt more than just a victory. It changes how armored warfare will be remembered, and it explains why Patton's Shermans didn't just survive. They dominated. September 22nd, 1944. 3rd Army Headquarters. The maps are quiet now. No arrows pushing west. No red blocks threatening Patton's flank. Just empty space. Officers stand around a situation table in exhausted silence, staring at the implications. Arracourt isn't just another successful defense. It's a rupture. Something fundamental has snapped. For years, the story of armored warfare has been simple. German tanks are superior. American tanks are expendable. Arracourt destroys that story in 3 days. News filters upward slowly at first. Reports arrive incomplete, almost hesitant, numbers that feel exaggerated. 200 German armored vehicles destroyed or disabled. Entire Panther brigades rendered combat ineffective. Minimal territorial loss. Staff officers double-check figures, then triple-check them. They're real. This isn't propaganda. This is wreckage you can walk through. Patton understands immediately what has happened. Not tactically, he already knew he'd won, but symbolically. The Germans didn't just lose tanks. They lost credibility. The Panther was supposed to be the answer. Heavily armored, lethal at range, a battlefield dominator. German doctrine revolved around it like a religion. At Arracourt, that religion collapsed. Because tanks don't fight in isolation. Systems do. American armored doctrine, often mocked early in the war, reveals its true strength here. Shermans are not designed to duel Panthers head-on at 2 kilometers. They are designed to move, to communicate, to exploit openings faster than the enemy can react. Arracourt becomes the purest expression of that philosophy. Sherman scout, fix, and flank. Tank destroyers anchor and ambush. Artillery shatters formations before armor even engages. Infantry protects the whole machine from close threats. Every weakness is covered by something else. German Panthers, by contrast, are powerful, but brittle, mechanically complex, fuel-hungry, crew-intensive. When coordination breaks down, they become isolated giants. And isolated giants die. Walk the battlefield days later and the evidence is everywhere. Panthers with intact frontal armor, but holes punched clean through their sides. Tanks abandoned with empty fuel tanks. Others immobilized by artillery, then finished off by infantry. The kills don't belong to one hero unit. They belong to the system. And that's what makes Arracourt so dangerous for Germany. Because you can't fix this with a new tank. German commanders know it too. Post-battle reports are blunt, almost despairing. They speak of overwhelming American artillery, of rapid maneuver, of tanks appearing where they should not be, of communications collapsing under pressure. They don't blame cowardice. They blame reality. Germany no longer has the resources to fight wars of adaptation. Patton does. For the American tanker, Arracourt changes something more personal. Confidence. They've heard the stories, seen the Panthers' gun punch through steel like paper, felt the fear, lived with it. Every engagement carried a quiet knowledge that, on paper, they were outmatched. After Arracourt, that fear is gone. Not arrogance, belief. They know now that if they fight smart, if they stay moving, stay connected, stay aggressive, they can kill anything the Germans put in front of them. That belief will matter in the months to come. Very soon, because winter is coming, and with it, Germany's final gamble. The Ardennes, the Battle of the Bulge. When German armor surges again through forest and fog, it will meet American tankers who remember Arracourt, who remember that Panthers burn just like anything else, who trust their radios, their artillery, and their instincts. Arracourt doesn't end the war, but it quietly removes one of Germany's last advantages, the myth of invincibility. Patton, characteristically, doesn't dwell on it. He pushes east. He always pushes. But long after the tracks have rolled on, Arracourt remains, a case study, a warning, a turning point buried beneath louder names and bigger headlines. A place where American steel was tested against German legend, and legend lost. Yet there's one final irony to this story, one detail that history often misses. The Shermans at Arracourt weren't upgraded. They weren't magically improved. They were the same tanks critics had mocked for years, which means the victory wasn't hidden in metallurgy or gun caliber. It was hidden in doctrine, in leadership, in adaptability under fire. And that truth, that wars are won by systems, not symbols, is a real legacy of Arracourt, one that armored warfare will never escape. Years later, the fields around Arracourt are quiet now. Grass has reclaimed the scars. Villages rebuilt stone by stone. Farmers work the same soil where Panthers once burned and Shermans advanced through smoke and fear. To the casual eye, there is nothing here to suggest that one of the most lopsided armored victories of the war unfolded on this ground. But Arracourt never stopped speaking. Armored officers studied it. War colleges dissected it. Veterans carried it with them, sometimes in pride, sometimes in silence. Because Arracourt wasn't just a battle of World War II. It was a warning about how wars actually work. For decades, discussions of tanks fixated on hardware, armor thickness, gun caliber, penetration tables. Arracourt exposed the danger of that obsession. German Panthers, technically superior in isolation, were fed into combat as if their raw power could overcome coordination, logistics, and tempo. They couldn't. Not against an enemy who treated tanks as nodes in a larger network, supported, informed, and constantly shifting. Patton understood that intuitively. Speed was his doctrine. Communication was his weapon. Aggression was his shield. At Arracourt, those ideas stopped being theory. They became decisive. The American crews who fought there rarely framed it in grand terms. They talked about fog, about radio chatter, about artillery that felt like a guardian angel. They remembered fear, real fear, followed by something unexpected, control. Once they realized the Germans were reacting instead of dictating, the battle changed shape. Confidence spread faster than orders ever could. Crews took initiative. Platoons acted independently yet coherently. That's the hallmark of a winning system. Not perfect execution, but adaptable execution. Arracourt also revealed something uncomfortable about German armor doctrine. The Panther was built for a battlefield that no longer existed, one where decisive clashes were won by superior machines meeting head-on. But modern warfare, even in 1944, had evolved beyond that simplicity. Artillery reached farther. Radios connected everything. Air power loomed constantly. The Panther needed conditions to dominate. The Sherman needed opportunities. Arracourt gave those opportunities in abundance. When historians later counted the wrecks, the numbers spoke clearly. Over 200 German armored vehicles destroyed or disabled. Multiple Panzer brigades effectively erased. American losses comparatively light. And yet Arracourt never became famous like Kursk or El Alamein or the Bulge. Why? Because it didn't fit the narrative. No last stand. No dramatic retreat. No singular hero moment. Just professionals doing their jobs exceptionally well. and winning decisively. That may be why Arracourt matters more than ever. It reminds us that wars are not won by wonder weapons or invincible machines. They are won by people who understand how to connect those machines, how to think faster than the enemy, adapt under pressure, and exploit mistakes without hesitation. It is, in many ways, Patton's quiet masterpiece. Not loud, not theatrical, just brutally effective. The Sherman, often remembered as a compromised tank, earned something rare at Arracourt: respect, not because it was the best tank on the battlefield, but because it proved that best is meaningless without context. In the hands of Patton's Third Army, the Sherman became exactly what it needed to be: mobile, reliable, lethal when used correctly. Enough. And that is the final image Arracourt leaves us with. Not a burning panther, not a triumphant general, but a simple truth written in steel and smoke. Wars are not won by what you build. They are won by how you fight.